What's up, family? Gerald the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Let the King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to the Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.
What's up, good people? BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. The latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
Bossman Show, going to the MAC conference. Sienna saying Gerry McNamara with me on the Bossman Show, from Syracuse. Now he nails at Sienna, leading a great program. Coach G, what's up, man? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you having me on. Still, I was at the Q's for a while. I'm still getting used to that green and gold. It looks good back here. So I'm lucky, man. Very blessed to be here.
No doubt, man. And for you, I know you was in Syracuse for a good while, man. And what about the opportunity in Sienna really stood out to you to take over his program? I know it's kind of up that way, up in upstate New York up there. So what about this job really stood out to you, man?
Similar to the Q's, I think when I was in high school, to choose a place like Syracuse, it was, you talk about like elite fan bases, elite venues to play in, support from the area. I was really happy. I loved Cuse. I could have raised my family there, stayed there for the rest of my life. I don't think I would have ever been content had I not tested myself as a head coach. And, for me to leave a place that I loved, I think it would have been had to match kind of the same characteristics as those things I just mentioned. So, when an opportunity came about at Sienna where I had the opportunity to interview for the job, and I looked at this place the same way as a recruit coming out of high school. I was getting recruited, and I'm looking at a place to venture off and run my own program. And, do they match all those things? Do they have, an elite fan base and incredible story, tradition, and history? They had all those things. I think everybody in America that's a hoops fan watched the LSU-Iowa game this year. That game was played in the arena that is my home arena, MVP Arena in downtown Albany. And coincidentally, it's the arena in 2003 that our Syracuse team went through and beat Oklahoma in the Elite Eight to make a Final Four. UConn 2 years ago goes through our arena to win their first national championship, or their back-to-back. So, I just looked at this place in the same way in regards to when I was looking at Syracuse coming out as a player. Like, it matched everything I was looking for in terms of the fan support, the opportunity, and the tradition. And again, like I said, I'm really blessed to be here. It's a great spot. It's a great spot to live, raise a family, and blue collar town, just like Syracuse was. And um, I'm excited, man. I'm excited way things are going so far.
I hear that, man. How cool has it been for you having to make decisions now with that one seat over now? From being an assistant all these years, now you get to make the decision yourself. And whether you give a suggestion, you dance your decisions. How's that transition been for you, man?
It's nice, really nice. It's funny. I had a conversation with Coach Boeheim years ago, and he said something along the lines of like, it's a lot different when you're in this seat, and it is. It's a lot different. You're pulled in a lot of different directions that I probably didn't, maybe anticipate, and that's one of the things that I watched Adrian go through when Coach retired and he took over at Syracuse. So I went through that process with him and saw how he navigated it, and that was probably important for my development. Um, but I think the most impactful thing is, you're the kind of the final decision maker in terms of your roster, the decisions that are made in terms of what you're looking for and how you want to play, who you want to get, who you align with, what are the characteristics that that player embodies. And that's been really kind of the most enjoyable part for me is it's like, I have great assistants and they bring a lot of great players to the table and you get to go out and evaluate all of them. And at the end of the day, I get to make the decision on, who we're going after the hardest and all those things. So there's a lot of pressure that comes with that in terms of, I know it when you're sitting in this seat, everything's going to fall squarely on your shoulders in terms of win and loss. And that's just what comes with the territory. But it's just so nice to be able to run things the way you always envisioned it. And I've been really lucky because I've been around so many great coaches. Coach Boeheim is a Hall of Famer, and Adrian, who I just mentioned, is the head coach now. And Mike Hopkins was kind of my mentor, who was the head coach at UW at Washington, and now is an assistant coach with the Suns. Alan Griffin, who's still at Q. So I just, I felt like I was ready to make those decisions because I've been around a lot of great decision makers and people.
1,000%. I think I share your sentiment. I was a co-host back in the day. How I would think about how I would do it if I had my own show. How I wouldn't ask this question. So I had that same feeling. I was doing this as a co-host, but I was waiting on getting my own show. Like, yeah, I feel. When I finally got to get my own show. It was like, cool, I can do it my way. I can book this guest. So I know how you feel, man. Yeah. Do it your own way, man. It's done like this, man.
Nothing like it. And those really the experiences of kind of playing second fiddle and going through that and developing your own natural style are probably, equally as important. You kind of need that maturation process in terms of who you develop into. And I was really, really lucky at Syracuse working for Coach Boeheim for all those years because of how much power we had in terms of developing our own voice in the groups we worked with. I worked with the guards for 15 years. And, it was basically like from day one, like, here you go, Gerry, here's your group of guys, do what you please, and, you just change. I had 4 kids in the meantime. So now my style changed a little bit. I grew in terms of who I was as a person, and it changed me as a coach. And, I kind of implemented how I changed into how I coached. And, I know I can talk to my 13-year-old son a little bit differently than I talk to, maybe my 8-year-old daughter, so people learn in different ways, and those invaluable experiences to get you to the point where you feel like you're ready to go do your own thing are important.
And Coach G, man, let me ask you this, man. When you looking for players for your roster this past offseason, what were you looking for in young men? Like, what kind of qualities did you want them to have to be a part of this new Seattle Saints program that you're running and kind of fit what you want to do now in your identity as a head coach?
Yeah, well, you're going to also, it's like cliche in a lot of ways. You see every coach that does their introductory press conference, they're always going to use the word culture. But it's just so vital, to me, I got really lucky in terms of the recruitment process because I had already been in really good position with players in the past. So whether they hit the transfer portal or like a guy like Peter Gerry, who I brought with me from Syracuse, I wanted all those guys to match the same things that were important to me, which was kind of team over self, winning above all else. Are you willing to sacrifice yourself a little bit for the betterment of the group? And I just felt like I got the right group. And then I got lucky with a couple guys that I didn't have a relationship with. I just really liked their film. So then it's kind of a roll of the dice, like it's speed dating. You're trying to figure out what are, like, I didn't have a previous relationship, so I didn't recruit you to Syracuse, or I didn't know you through AAU. So that's a speed dating process. And like I said, it's just a roll of the dice. You got to hope it's right. And those guys that I did recruit that were that roll of the dice, man, was it right, man? I hit it. I just got the right group in terms of their maturity. One of the things that I've talked about with all the guys that I recruited in my office here was, two things that I need are your respect and your maturity. And when you're talking to a guy in your office, he's going to look you in the eyes when you speak to him. It's when you coach him on the court, is he looking you in the eyes? And that was always really important to me at Syracuse, because I've always, my style is kind of, I don't think people need to be talked at. I don't think they respond really well to that. So if I can talk to you, you have to understand that the time that I'm willing to spend with you is valuable. It's the most valuable thing you can give another human being. So I need you to give me the respect that I'm giving you. I'm spending my time with you. Look me in the eyes. I'm coaching you. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not doing this. I'm just trying to better you. So because I was kind of upfront and honest about my style and what I expected from them, the maturity part really kicked in quick because they understood me. And it wasn't by intent, but I spent my 8 weeks here, and I didn't do it deliberately, but I didn't bring a whistle to practice. So in 8 weeks working with my group, I didn't blow the whistle one time. And I think it really is a credit to the guys that I've worked with that when I speak, I've got their attention, because I've been willing to spend the hours in the gym with them prior to the coaching aspect. Now it's about the training, and I spent the time with the training. Now it's about the coaching, and because of the time you spend with them, I get their respect and their maturity, and that was kind of at the forefront of what I was trying to put together. And you got to be talented within that process, baby. You know what it is. You got to win at this level, but
Yes.
but there's so many good players, and you got to kind of decipher what you want and who you are and who you align with. And I've got a really good group. I align with them. We think the same. We want the same things, and we want to be able to make some noise. And the best way to do it is if you can align together.
And this summer, did you kind of maybe combine more doing team stuff than you usually want to do? Because you had so many, the whole new roster, it's got mixing some of the player development as well, but maybe kind of get some general concepts in, that we're going to run offensively, defensive. So it's not just like a whole blur come now as you prepare for fall practice here coming up, with workouts coming up here, then practice starting for real, then getting November 4th. It's tipping off here really quickly.
Quick. Yeah. Yeah. More so, the rules have changed. Like, back when we played, we didn't get to practice like that in the summer.
Never.
Never. So like now, like as the rules have evolved and the time restrictions are lifted a little bit, I'd say most coaches around the country probably spend more team practice time than they ever have. It was really important for me, obviously, because you're putting together a new roster, you're taking over a new program, and you're getting a new group together for the first time. So to me, it was a great summer because I got to, for the first time, put in what I was thinking and how I thought, and all these things visually that I was able to do, kind of behind the scenes of my coaching career, I was able to implement right away with a group that believed in it. So, yeah, to answer your question, 100%, we spent such a great amount of time in terms of the concepts of what I want to do offensively. We touched on a lot of the basic stuff of how we're going to play defensively. And, now I've got, starting September 3rd, I've got 30 practices in 42 days. So I think that stretch of time, because I've got a really good base in terms of how we want to play on the offensive end, I'm going to have to really focus these first, 2 months on kind of really drilling in the defensive side of the basketball and making sure that when November 4th comes around, we've kind of got both areas and sides of the ball, a really good feel of what we are.
No doubt, man. This is great. Like I said, for us, man, like it was hard to get that gelling because we didn't really see each other in summertime. So you really had to use this time, October 15th, the magic day, to try to cram it all in, to try to gel and get ready to play. Now, for us, it was all these buy games we had to play to raise money for the school. So we was getting our heads beat in while we wasn't even a team yet.
Playing on the road for the first 2 months, right? Like,
yes.
Playing on the road against every top 25 team in the country.
Yes, everywhere you can on demand to raise money to get your head beat in. And the key was understanding this is part of the process. Well, mine was the OVC schedule, not non-conference. This is for the school, but let's try to stay healthy, don't get nobody hurt, and be ready to make a run in January.
Talk about getting thrown into the fire, right? Like right into the fire. But the reality of it is, you see teams like even at the high major level, you see a lot of teams schedule like, a lot of mid majors, and they're going to go win a bunch of games. But then you see a lot of these teams, like I know Tom Izzo has kind of been famous for it, where his schedule is really, really difficult. So his non-conference schedule is really difficult. So your situation, you go on, you're playing against some of the best teams in the country. You hope by the time that your conference schedule rolls around, you have a really great identity of who you are and what you've evolved into. And, through some of that stuff, like you're going to either your team is going to either unify or divide in that stretch. If you're one of those groups that are just, you lose 6, 7 in a row, like that's a tough thing to go through. And it really kind of makes or breaks who you are. So, the non-conference, if you could find a really nice balance in the non-conference schedule of mixing in those teams where are really going to test you and you're going to be a big underdog, but then at the same time playing teams that are somewhat in your wheelhouse that are probably going to be on the verge of being NCAA tournament teams, which I think we have a few on our schedule this year. You hope by the time that December rolls around, you're starting to become a more polished, better version of your team,
Yeah, G, I'll tell you, I can remember, I recalled it in my head. My 4 years, it was 4 wins, 6 wins, 6 wins, and 4 wins.
Yeah.
Before the OVC play. So you had to stay together because that can get in your head if you let it get in your head.
And it's still a great conference. So now you're battle tested. You're going in, and can you get through that stretch at what? What are you playing?
31. So yes, we played 18 conference games. So it was like 6 and 7, 4 and 9. So, but you still, you had to understand it's part of the process.
It's part of the process. And if you're in one of these leagues where it's a one bid league, what's the most important thing really is your conference.
3 days in March.
No question. Talk about the pressure. Like you could go undefeated in league play and lose in the second round and not make the NCAA. Like it's just the nature of the beast. And with the net system now, like it's just gotten more difficult for teams at our level to have more than, you look at the A10. The A10's getting 1-2 teams into the NCAA tournament. It's just really difficult. With the way it's kind of set up right now, they're taking a lot of the high major teams. So, the most important thing for teams at our level is like you just hit your peak at the right time. You play really, really well in March, and over a 3-day stretch, you strike that gold. You know what I mean?
That's why I implicated it to you guys, man. I want you put on the show because I understand what it comes down to. I've been in them shoes as a player. I've been around it, so I'm like, I'm gonna make sure people understand this. This is a great situation you're in. But this pretty much matters. The tournament in March is peak at that time. Make sure you're healthy. You got your peak at the right time.
Think about this. Like, it's funny, those first few games, like you see that a lot of these conference tournaments are before like the ACC and the Big Ten. And, so that Monday through Friday, there's like a bunch of leagues that are playing to go to the NCAA tournament. Everybody in college basketball is tuned in because they know it's an important game to go to the tournament. But you got those 2 coaches that are probably like sitting there like twitching, like, oh my God, comes down to just this one game, for us to get into our postseason where it's like, you're either pure elation or devastation. And man, like that's talk about like fun though. Like that's why we do what we do. We're competitors, and you want to have those moments for your teams and experience them. And that's why you grind it out in June, July, and August to get ready for March. So it's just such a wonderful sport because of the pressure it comes down to, and could be one singular moment.
It's funny before you go, but Belmont won the tournament so many times, G, that they oversee moved the tournament to Evansville, Indiana, because they felt some kind of way that Tennessee State and Belmont got sleeping in their own beds, so they moved the tournament to Evansville, Indiana. Belmont won so many times.
It's remarkable, isn't it?
Hey, I see y'all funny.
I see how you're doing. Yeah, okay, I see this. You know what I mean?
I know what's going on here. You want to try to get advance for Murray State and them other teams. But yeah, obviously it was a great league, man. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I hate the realignment's done. What realignment's done by the rivalries we had with MTSU, Austin P, all Murray State, and all them gone now. But it was fun to be a part of it, man. Competing. Look, man, now I compete at the radio, man. I compete every day here at the radio.
Still in it. Well, I mean, conference realignment. I mean, even think of, I was a Big East guy. I played in the Big East, and that's, it's a shell of itself of what it was in terms of the teams that were in it. And, now you're trying to create new rivalries, and football is king, and, you got to shift and stay ahead of the curve. And, Coach Boeheim said it when all this stuff started happening like 7-8 years ago. He said, 30 years from now, he's like, everyone's going to look around and be like, we should have never changed a thing. And, I think it's part of it, like the nostalgia. Think about like what was Syracuse basketball built on? It was like the rivalry of Syracuse and Georgetown.
Georgetown,
And
St.
now you gotta,
John's.
yeah, now you gotta
Big
build.
Monday on ESPN.
Yeah, and now you're doing the regional too. Like you're right here. Like you're within 3 hours of each other. All those schools, the Seton Halls and all that. Like we were all Providence. We were all right there. So now like the feel for like the fan, it changed a little bit. And the feel for me, and we were lucky. We were able to move into the ACC, which is a great league, and football I think is going to get back to big relevancy hopefully under Fran Brown. But man, like you miss the days of like those that just beating each other heads in over the last 40, 50 years. It's part of what, I love our sport, but it's hurt that aspect of it a little bit, this realignment.
It's gonna make you. It's gonna blow your mind. I'm gonna tell you about my dad. My dad played ball at Tennessee State when it was Tennessee A&I. 1958 to 63. He played football there. If me to go there after my dad went there, it was like that's why I went there because my dad went there.
That's awesome.
Couple
of family alum.
Yes. So man, my dad got me. I said, I know I want to go. I told coaches, my dad went here, so I'm going. Because my dad went here. I want to make my dad happy.
Can't beat it.
So man, we're lucky, man. Coach, man. Hope to see you on the road this year, man. I'm gonna try to come up that way, man. When the Hawks play the Knicks, man. Hopefully y'all will be around. I try to hit Binghamton. I try to hit UA, and I try to hit you all as well. So we'll keep that going while I come up there, man. When the Hawks play the Knicks and the Nets, man.
Come see me.
No doubt, I got you, my brother.
All right, I appreciate you.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Yes, BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV, covering content and hot topics from A to Z, sports, music, society and culture, movie reviews, you name it, we have it. Check it out on bs3network.com or check us out on Roku, BS3 TV on Roku, as well as check out your favorite podcast on all podcast platforms or Spreaker.com/BS3 Network.
You are now tuned to BS3 Network.
What's up, good people? Bet Online is your number one source for all your betting needs. The latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. Bet Online continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use your promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. What's up, family? Gerry the Bossman here. You're tuned into the Bossman Show on AM 1010, AM 1430, 1055 The King. Check The King out at 105theking.com and the Bossman Show at bossmanshow.com. Hit me up on Instagram, The Bossman Show, Twitter at Bossman Show, and Facebook, Bossman Show. It's the Bossman on your radio.
Listen to The Bossman Show with your host, JR, Saturdays at 9 a.m. right here on AM 1010, The King.